Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Crimsonpanda here with another Mercenaries meta report. Now, it has been a couple of weeks since I've done one of these, so I think it is about time to do another one. So let's head over and check out some of the stats and data stored by HS Replays and see which comps are performing well and which ones have actually played the most games on PvP as well. But before we get into that, I actually haven't played the game in a little while. I've been really busy. So if you guys have any comps that you feel you want to share with me and you would like me to post a video on, then please share your comps in the comments of this video below or on my Discord, and I will try and get a video out of your comp, put your name next to it as well so I can give you a shout out. And yeah, we'll start getting some PvP comps for some meme builds or some meta builds depending on what you send me. So yeah, let's check out today's meta report. Okay, so here we are over at HS Replays, the Mercenary tab. Now this is stuck behind a paywall, so I'd appreciate if you guys would hit that sub button and give this video a thumbs up so more people can see it, because this does cost money to be able to see this sort of stats. Now, what I found with the HS Replays is that it hasn't seemed to be updating that much. So for example, if you was to compare the games here, so I've gone to current patch at the moment, as you can see up here, it says current patch and then last 7 days. If you go to last 7 days, it actually comes up with 4,600 games. My previous video was actually 4,600 games as well, and we filtered that to win rate, and I actually believe these are the same win rates, so it doesn't seem to be updating for me, which is really sad because obviously I'm paying for it. So what I've decided to do today is to go from the time frame of current patch, which as you can see says the 11th of the 1st 2022, so that was 2 months ago worth of data, and we're going to filter it to the most played comps because these are still going to be relevant now and all of them have a fairly decent win rate. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to still filter through the MMR ranges, but this is going to guarantee you something to play, something that is pretty good and pretty well known, I guess, because of the most amount of games. But we'll have to do it this way this week, and then I'll keep tabs on once the patch changes and once the update comes in for Chromie, because there is literally no Chromie data, even though I know a lot of people have been playing with her. So yeah, this website definitely needs to have an update, and they need to get on that pretty quickly as well. So with that being said, let's just take a look at some of these comps so that you guys have something to play. So as you can see here, we have the standard arcane comp. Now this actually has the most amount of games played, which is pretty crazy because it is a fairly new comp really. It did only come out once we got the buff from Blinkfox, and obviously people understood what the runes did with Medivh. So we have Medivh with the unstable runes, Arcane Fang with Blinkfox, Bitter Chill with Khadgar. Obviously that's your solid opener with the Arcane, being able to powerhouse with Medivh and Blinkfox, and even Khadgar with the AoE being critting on something that you hit with Medivh if you wanted to. And then on the bench we have the Ysera and the Bane combo, Totemic Mastery and the Emerald Majesty. And then we have Tess for those late game memes, being able to steal some ridiculously good stuff with Tools of the Trade straight away. You can actually come sometimes solo win the game with Tess in the late game, going like 1v3 and stuff. So it's a very good comp. It's no wonder it's had the most amount of games played, and it's no wonder it has a massive win rate as well in the meantime doing it as well. So next up we have a Valeera Trigor. So this is obviously going to make an appearance. So Valeera obviously broken Stealth Merc, Trigor broken Razor Claw Backlash Merc, which just deals huge damage, and then the Tharian obviously summoning stuff to be able to trigger the Trigor as well. Everybody has seen this comp, everybody has played this comp. So we have Karen, Tyrande and Longjin in the bench. So because you're obviously summoning dragons and Trigor's a beast, Longjin is using the Band of Burst and Novas to gain arcane damage, and Tyrande is then using the Arcane Salvo to be able to benefit from the most amount of damage you can get, so that you can trigger that multiple times, killing hopefully multiple enemies. And then Karen's just in there to be able to speed up this Tyrande ability. So it's basically a 3-speed ability instead of a 5-speed, because by the time you bring this bench out, Valeera is dead and you're not going to be able to benefit from her speed. So everybody's played it, everybody knows what it does, but that is obviously a very good comp, especially if you're new and you want something to work towards. Just going towards one of these most played comps is probably going to get you your chests daily and pretty fast as well. Okay, now big jump down on games here is the Old God Shadow comp. So this is actually the one with the highest win rate in the last 7 days that I've shown you in my previous video. But the only difference with this one is that Yasharaj is running the Idol of Yasharaj, which is a preferred equipment in my opinion because of the Rage Unbound is the tactic you're going for. So why not have extra attack from that? So we have Yogg with the Battlecry Refreshable Old God abilities with Awakening Roar. Have N'Zoth with the Eternal Torment just dealing a little bit of damage at the start of the game. And then Yasharaj with the Idol being able to benefit from the huge buffs from the attack of the third ability. And then because you're attacking with the Yogg or sending something into attack, you're bringing out Maestro, which is going to get that buff from the Yasharaj on turn 2 and do huge amounts of damage. And you have obviously Vol'jin in there to help all of these Shadow Mercs with their speed. And you have Cthulhu in there gaining some stats from the bench thanks to N'Zoth and his summons. So very good synergies. It's no wonder it's a very solid comp. And being a good win rate with a good amount of game size as well, there's no need not to play this. If you have these Mercs, then just play it. Just get those wins in, especially against those meme comps that people might be playing, and especially at the start of a season as well. Okay, next up we have a Lokalar Nemsy Frost build. So we saw this once Nemsy came out. People were playing this like crazy, being able to benefit from the Frigid Winds with Lokalar, and also the Bitter Chill with Khadgar. Because they are 5-speed abilities, you can nearly always have a ridiculously huge AoE and a ridiculously huge Frigid Winds Hailstorm. So you're going to gain a lot of frost damage here. I think +4 damage actually is crazy, and I'm surprised they didn't nerf that to just like +2, but they don't like nerfing stuff, so I guess they're just going to be bringing stuff out to counter stuff. So this was obviously a very solid comp. I haven't seen it in play for a while, but it might be time to bring it back with this with the huge damage, especially if people are running green openers, or you know, it's a little bit difficult because the Nemsy is being played quite a lot, so Lokalar's shots might end up missing and hitting into the stuff you don't really want to hit into. And then as of the bench, we have the Tyrande Bane combo here again. So we have the Band of the Wilds, which is going to trigger your nature abilities twice, which then you can use the AoE from Bane to deal 50 damage to the green unit or 25 to any other units twice. So the minimum you're dealing is at least 75 damage to 3 mercenaries, but you do that twice. So yeah, very solid with Bane and Tyrande. And then Sinestra, very strong standalone mercenary. So slotting that in there makes sense, being able to benefit from those big AoEs if Bane and Tyrande don't end up getting there with their combo. Okay, next up we have Vol'jin, Kazakus, and Yasharaj. So this is the Shadow Yasharaj with the Mark of Yasharaj Defiled attack. So you have the speed manipulation with Vol'jin. You then have Kazakus with the Wild Vine, being able to give your Mercs extra attack. And then you're going to be summoning Golems for Yasharaj to then Defile attack with the Mark of Yasharaj, borrowing extra attack from the units that you're summoning and doing huge damage to one target, which then if it kills it will repeat it and do huge damage to another target. So very solid opener. And then as of the bench we have Queen Ysera here, so that you can heal with every shadow ability you use. So all of these Mercs have shadow, so that just fits. The AoE is good, and so is the spell damage buff. Sylvanas, you're summoning quite a lot of units with Kazakus, so the Death Volley and the Death Rattle on the Sylvanas and the buffs from the Yasharaj as well are just really good with this, being able to do the second ability to gain a lot of stats because of the golems makes Sylvanas just a huge threat in this comp. And then Tess, obviously with those memes, but with those also consecutive really good ability steals with Tool of the Trade, and you won't be able to get off the third ability, you won't be able to change it up so you can cast an ability 5 times, but being able to just use a one-off ability from Tool of the Trade sometimes is enough to close out games if all else fails. So Tess, just a very solid Merc to put in there. You can put a Sinestra in if you don't have Tess, because that's quite a strong Merc, and it has shadow abilities as well. So there are options that you can switch out. If you have any questions on which options to switch out, then feel free to ask in the comments below. Next up, we have a combo Valera build. So this is the Leroy combo. This is probably one of the most fun builds that I've played in the game. So we have Valera, Nemzi, and Zambi. So what you're going to do with this is you're going to Shadow of Knives with Valera. Shadow of Knives. I don't actually use the ability that often. So what the hell is that ability called? It's the third ability for Valera, which is going to speed up your units at three speed faster, which is obviously not as good as going stealth, but the idea here is to bring out your bench fully, and all their abilities will be 0 speed. The only downside to that is you need to keep Valera alive. So in my opinion, don't add it to your party like this. Put Nemzi to the left of Valera so that you get the Boggy protecting the Valera, and then Zambi's obviously not going to take any damage because you're going to bounce back on turn 1. And then on turn 2, you're going to Rakara, Smite, and Leroy. You're going to buff with Rakara with the offensive rally. You're then going to overboard with Mr. Smite, and then Leroy is going to use his 0 speed attack everything, which is going to gain stats from the attack when he attacks, and then every time it attacks, Mr. Smite is then going to attack something else as well, which means he will gain attack from the Rakara as well. So a very fun, very solid combo. If people know what they're doing and they manage to kill Valera, then unfortunately the combo is lost. But it is quite hard to kill Valera. It has to be quite a specific comp, or getting past the Nemzi's Boggy in order to get Valera low enough is quite difficult to do. So very fun comp. Game sample size actually isn't as big as I'd hoped, but like I said, I think the game isn't updating the data as fast on here. Like I said, I did a video 3 weeks ago, and it doesn't appear like any stats have changed since then. So unless people aren't using deck trackers when you're playing, which I find it really hard to believe because of it just hasn't even increased by 1 game. But yeah, maybe Firestone is what people are using, and I don't think that has any data stored. If it does, send me a link in the description, in the comments, and I'll check that out. Next up, we have Grommash. So Grommash, Valera, and Trigor build. So obviously Grommash being played a lot in the past, being able to use the Halting Sash to slow units down, comboing out with Valera and attacking with the Trigor. So the only downside to this is Valera will go back to the bench, but that's where this Frost comes in, because you actually want that to happen. So Maestro is going to come out for Valera. You're going to get another proc off Trigor and another hit with the 2 hits with Valera if you manage to get a cleave. And then in the late game, you kind of want to bring out Valera, Varden, and Belinda all at the same time, because that is going to give you a perma-freeze combo. So you have a 0 speed Valera attacking, you have a 0 speed Belinda, so you're going to be able to combat the Valera again, keeping her stealth to keep you in your speed up. You have a water elemental, which is going to freeze a target, and then you also have either the 5 speed that's going to freeze a specific target with Varden, or you can go for a cold snap, try and get a kill off, freeze everything, and just scale frost damage in the late game really, really quickly. So very fun comp. If you can keep the water elemental alive or attack a unit which doesn't make it die straight away, then that's great, because you get another 1 speed attack freeze next turn. And then obviously you still have either the 5 speed or the 6 speed, depending on what you're using with Varden to freeze them up as well. So very good bench with the perma freeze package in this comp here. So I'll go through the equipments just in case you want to pause it and build this. So we have Halting Sash, Unnatural Smoke, Razor Claw, Band of Frost, Water Elemental, and Mask of Mimicry. So it looks like they're going to start repeating themselves now. So let's filter it to have a look at how these were performing in the MMR range. So 1.4 MMR, not a lot. That's what, 3-4 games before that starts happening. So the best one obviously is the Arcane. It's actually in order still here from the all players, as that probably would be the case. We could filter it to win rate actually. Excuse me. Okay, so filtering a win rate, you start bringing up a load of new comps, but these new comps aren't actually new anymore because of how far back this patch was. So as you can see here, we have Elise. This was when Elise was actually making a big appearance. So we have Elise, Nemzi, and Zambi. So when one of your things dies, restore health to your trolls. It just doesn't seem like this comp was even a thing. It might have just had 100 games doing pretty good, but that was back before Chromie come out to start messing stuff up, I think. So I'll run through this one actually. We got Oasis Canteen with Elise, Nemzi's a Boggy, and Spirit of the Dead with Zambi. And then on the bench we have the standard Defile package. So the idea here is to buff up your bench a little bit with the Oasis, keep a Boggy alive, bounce Zambi back, bring out your Shadow package. This is then going to do the usual stuff if you was to start with it, but it'll be a tiny bit stronger because of the help from Boggy being up, hopefully, and also the buff from the Elite. So you're basically taking a turn to buff up your bench and then using that to your advantage in the second turn and onwards. So let's go back to how many games, because that's what we're going for on this one. So we go next one, top 20. Does it switch up a bit? We have the Arcane. We have the local R build just after it. So yeah, it does switch it up a little bit. So this is obviously a 6,000 plus range. So we actually have the Frost doing a lot better the higher up you go. Obviously this might be 3 weeks out, this video, so hopefully they just fix that. And then we have the Valyrian and Nefarian comp with Trigor. Then it goes into Old Gods, the Shadow Yashiraj, the Leroy combo, Permafreeze, all the ones we were talking about. And then as of 8,200 MMR, it looks like it actually stayed the same, apart from halfway down here where the Old Gods and the Shadow Yashiraj actually overtake each other just a little bit. Only in game sample size, but not in win rate. It just means that comp was played a lot more. So they are the comps. Unfortunately, there's not any new ones in there with Chromie because the data isn't being stored properly, I guess, on here. Hopefully they'll fix that ready for the next video. I did want to do a Chromie one, but there just isn't any data for it, so I can't really have an input on what everybody else is playing if there is no data. Feel free to send me all of your comps. If you want me to do a video on them, I am more than happy to do that. I really like meme comps, so if you have anything really memey and you think that you can get a couple of wins of it, obviously we have some new mercs coming in February, so it's nice to just play some fun stuff on ladder while we're waiting for those to drop. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It wasn't kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to go for just win rate, but unfortunately with it not being updated fast enough, sometimes that just isn't possible. So thanks for all your support, guys. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one and you find a comp to play, and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you later.